This is episode 61, and today we're talking about board of directors and how they are critical to your business and how they can determine the success and failure of your business. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. Today we're talking about business law, and in particular the board of directors. So the metrics are out there. They primarily say 90% of all businesses fail in their first year. I used to be an advocate of starting a business. I'm no longer an advocate of starting businesses. I'm more of an advocate of buying businesses. But there are a lot of benefits to starting a business. I'm not denying that. But what this video is focusing on primarily is the board of directors. That's primarily the most critical, not most critical, it's primarily one of the most critical and most overlooked aspects of starting a business. When you're starting a business, it can be an LLC. For example, you could create an LLC, whatever state you're in, whatever state you want to organize your business in. You can create in the US, create an LLC in that state. Go to the Secretary of State's website in that state. If you're in Georgia, go to the Secretary of State's website in Georgia. Create an LLC. EIN is your tax ID number. And with those two things, typically you can open up a business bank account. So once you get that out of the way, the next step you want to do is figuring out your board of directors. For example, you want to get ideally 3 to 4 individuals that are recently retired or are retired or about to retire. One of those metrics, people that have done what you're trying to do. And pretty much that's just a phone call away or email away. And for example, if you want to get into be any industry, if you want to buy medical devices, you want to create a business about medical devices. You know, hospitals, they all need medical devices and medical supplies. It can be international trade, whatever industry you want to get into. You want to find an individual that ideally that has done that's recently retired, and then you want to get maybe 2 or 3 of those. You want to get someone who's has a strong accounting background, maybe someone who works for one of the big 4 accounting firms. And then you maybe want to get other individuals, maybe a lawyer or something like that. But ideally, you want to get individuals that are at least been doing it for 25 years and above. And the reason I say that is because they actually know how to do what you want to do. And they know how to do it at a high level. They know what it takes to raise money. Now, once you have your board of directors all lined up and ready to go, you'll have them sign a board of directors agreement. And that'll pretty much lay out all of their duties and obligations to the business. It'll talk about their job titles, their different roles, how many hours they have to spend working on things in the business and things such as that. And in exchange for that, ideally you'll give them maybe 1 to 3% of your business, because they're actually giving you much needed advice to increase the chances of your business being successful. So it's very common for board directors to own a piece of the company that they're actually directing and guiding. So that's critical to understand that. It's better to have 51% of potentially millions than 100% of basically nothing. That's very important to understand. You want to have typically 3 to 4 board directors. So they each own 1 or 2%. That'll mean like 90% of your company that you still have left over. So however you decide to separate it based on their involvement. They're going to be involved more. You may give them 2 to 3% of it. But the thing about it is that it may be difficult to find these people, because a lot of board directors that have that level of experience that'll be ideal for your company, they understand they have a lot of experience too. And they may not want to be on a startup business, but you have to convince them. So they may say, okay, I've been doing this for 20 or 30 years. I'm recently retired. I would like to be on the board of directors of a company, but not necessarily a startup, because a lot of startups fail. 90% of all businesses fail. So I don't want to risk my reputation on just an idea, something that may not work. So it may be some difficulty. You may have some difficulty convincing these individuals to be on your board of directors. But what can allow you to actually accomplish and get them on your board of directors is primarily you. There's only one of you. There are not many of you. And the idea is that people invest in people. That's very important to understand. You have to pick an idea. Explain what you're trying to do. Hey, my name is Jeremy Johnson. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a fantastic idea about how to approach this industry, and I would love to have maybe 15 minutes to talk about this idea. You can either send it in an email, you can pick up a phone and call them, contact them on LinkedIn. There are many ways to do it. Just pretty much just straight up cold call. And many of these individuals are looking to join board of directors. They have this experience, they have this knowledge that they want to share to the next generation, but the next generation just haven't contacted them. So the young it's it's a separation gap that's unnecessary. The young generation, they have the energy. They just don't necessarily have the direction. The older generation have their knowledge and the direction. They don't necessarily have the energy as the youth have. So if you all get together, it can be something very, very powerful. But understand that when you start a business, the board of directors is probably the most important aspect of it. Ideally, you want to get a financial person, as I mentioned. That person has worked in banks. They know how banks fund businesses. That would be an ideal person, as I mentioned. Get a person who's an accounting firm. That's critical as well. So idea is that you'll get these people, your board of directors, and then idea is that you'll get you'll retain an accounting firm. Ideally, you want to retain an accounting firm that's reputable, and you want to retain a law firm. That's important as well. And many of these law firms and accounting firms, they will do business on what they call contingency, success fees. If they have a strong board, if you have a strong board that's total 100 years of experience in this particular area, you sound a whole lot different than approaching a law firm, approaching an accounting firm and saying, hey, I want to create businesses, I want to buy businesses, will you work on it for free and I'll pay you once that deal gets closed. They're not going to do that. But if you have a strong board of directors with you, now all of a sudden you sound a whole lot different. My name is Jeremy Johnson. I'm interested in this industry. I have a board of executives that have 120 years plus experience, and we want to talk to you and interview you to see if you can be the law firm of choice, because we're going to be acquiring a lot of businesses in the industry, which is going to be very, very profitable for your billing requirements. Would you have a meeting with us? We can create a presentation with you, and we can talk about how this can be beneficial to both of us. Talk to a law firm or talk to an accounting firm saying something like that, but better. And then they may be willing to do the work for free and then get paid once the deal closes. That's very important to understand. They may make you put like a down payment or retainer, but then they'll complete the rest of it once it closes. So that's very important. So just having the board of directors, they know how to talk to bankers. You want to interview bankers and have your board members there. For example, you want to go to a bank to get a loan. You just go into the bank will probably just maybe dismiss you right away. But if you have an accounting firm that's retained, for example, call that bank and say, Mr. Johnson, he's coming to talk to your bank, and he would like to potentially use your bank as the bank of choice for his business. Now all of a sudden you sound different, because you're not necessarily calling the bank. The accounting firm, particularly if it's like a big 4 accounting firm, if I see you pick up the phone and call a bank, that banker is going to be tripping over himself to take business from you, tripping over himself to pretty much buy your lunch, tripping over himself to talk to you, because now it sounds different because you have that accounting firm on retainer, particularly ideally on success fees, a success metric, what they call contingency. So that's important. You can create your board of directors, and that increases your chances of being successful by tenfold, exponentially. It increases your chances so much because you have a group of people who've been doing what they do for 20, 30 years, and they have the connections. They have access to bankers who can get you loans, help you get an SBA loan. SBA loan, typically, every bank is different, but I've talked to bankers, and they say you can get an SBA loan with a 650 credit score and 10% down. And you don't necessarily have to have the 10% or necessarily have to have the 650 credit score. If you create a group of people, if you and your friends get together and want to create a business, one of you all just have to have the 650 credit score at certain banks. So you all can put up 20% of that 10% down, and together you get the whole 10%. And then one of you all can have the 650 credit score, and then you all get you a board of directors of people that have been doing it for 20 or 30 years, and then they can help you set up interviews with the accounting firms. I mean, you can just call the accounting firm; they'll meet with you for free, and then you talk to them and convince them that you are an entrepreneur, because now all of a sudden you have 100 years of experience backing you, believing you, increasing the chances of being successful. They may do it on contingency. Same thing with a law firm. You can talk to a lawyer. Then also, as I mentioned in prior videos, you can focus on a particular industry. For example, you can there's a lot of industries that are very fragmented. Pick an industry that you're very passionate about, and then just do it. You can roll up industries in that. You can buy businesses and buy businesses and buy businesses in that same particular industry, and you can reduce redundancies. You can, instead of having 5 CEOs, you can have 1 CEO running all of those businesses. Buying bigger quantities, there's many things you can do by just what they call rolling up businesses in that particular industry. And then do that, and then ideally, you'll be ready for the stock market. And then you can do an IPO. I mean, this stuff is possible. You don't have to be smart. In many ways, education is a hindrance, because the more education you have, the less likely you are to take risks. So at this day and age, with the economy the way it is, it's very important to take risks, but it's not necessarily a risk, it's a calculated risk. It's a risk, but you're taking a calculated risk because you have so many advisors who are willing to help you. That's very important to understand, that you're not just doing it by yourself, you're doing it, an entrepreneur, but you have a lot of people backing you. So that's very important to understand. And then once you do that, you can get on the stock market. As I mentioned, IPO, the legal form is an S1. You can do a reverse merger, where you have your private company buy the controlling interest into a company that's already on the stock market. That's very important. You do a Regulation A, and that's the new way to get on the stock market. So that's very important. It's very exciting times, and it's tremendous opportunity out there if you look for it and you have willing to learn the legal strategies and the business ideas and business tactics to actually take your dream and make it a reality. You can do this if you believe. The most important aspect, I say it a lot, you have to be self-motivated, because if you're self-motivated, you'll start. So be self-motivated and passionate. And if you're passionate, you'll keep going when those valleys come. So be a self-motivated, excuse me, because that'll make you start, and then be passionate about your idea. And it'll take some time, but if you are committed, it'll happen. There's a famous African proverb that I really like. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So the idea is that you go together, because it's not just your brain, it's multiple brains helping you. Because if you're by yourself, you can go fast. You can accomplish things very fast, but it won't go far. You can, by yourself, you can create an LLC, create an EIN number. You can you can create a business very, very quickly, but you won't necessarily go far, or as far as you probably could, without having a team. So to recap what we talked about the importance of a board of directors, different people that you may want to have in your board of directors, how you can leverage the expertise of your board of directors to talk to banks, talk to accounting firms, talk to law firms, many things such as that. And we talked about how you can pretty much just use that and just go from nothing. It just really takes a lot of courage. That's really what it takes, just courage in many respects. And then create you a company on the stock market, or sell your company. There's many things you can do. But that's what we talked about. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.
See, you want the fame and I want the chain. We ain't got the same focus. I came in the game with my